In the real world currently, I feel like people are stuck in listing assumptions instead of jumping into the solution bit of it, of how we can address challenges that are facing the youths.
And I want to get your opinion as someone that has worked with young people, that is running an organization that is run and is working with and for young people. Are young people disorganized?
The reason why young people are disorganized accumulates from a lot of things that then you can't blame them for being disorganized. We have developed our institutions on weak systems for over 10 years. You can't come with a 1 week training and expect us to be angels.
It's a good afternoon from this side. I don't know where or what time you're watching this, but I hope you're all doing okay. This is the second episode you're having, and I want to thank those who watched the first episode. But if you haven't watched the first episode, make sure you do so, because these conversations are connected. So you're going to connect the first conversation and this conversation. In the other conversation, there was a name that was coming up quite several times, and I know you might be wondering. The guest was giving this person as an example most of the time. So I decided to bring the person that was being used as an example so that we get why he was being used as an example. Edwin, welcome to my show.
Thank you. I was being used as an example.
Yeah. We had an episode with Meshach, the first episode. And when he kept on talking about young people in leadership, he kept on mentioning your name. Yeah. You've not watched that episode. Sema saizi utoke hapa kwa hii show haraka. Sema. But
Anyway,
welcome to the Urban Online Show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are going to have a conversation with you. It's going to be a build-up of the last conversation we had with Mesha, because we are talking about young people in leadership generally and what are the challenges that young people are facing in startups, in leadership, in everything. So we are going to build up that. So just introduce yourself. Who are you?
Thank you. Allow me start from where you've started from. I think Meshach really did a good job. I think it's time that you know that at times it's you who is there for yourself. And I think that was one of the major points he was putting across. It's also good to know that I was being used as a good example.
But I didn't say good example. I just said it was using you as
Allow
an
me
example.
just
So
enjoy
let's
this single moment.
it can be a conversation to have whether he was using as a good example.
Okay.
Just know he was using as an
Get to
example.
know anyway.
Yeah.
So my name is Edwin Odhiambo. What else was I to say?
Just introduce yourself. Have fun.
Let me have fun then. So again, as I've said, my name is Edwin Odhiambo. I am an urban planner and did some background studies on environmental planning too. I run an organization by the name Youth and Urbanism, and we envision cities that are planned, built and governed in ways that support youth development and are safe for children and young people in general. Our mission every day is to wake up and shape urbanism for children and young people. We have done this for a period of like 3 years. It has been an interesting journey, actually 5, but 3 official. And we have done a lot in terms of climate change, in terms of urban governance, in terms of sustainable slum development, and a lot of things that I'll be happy to share as we move on. But in a nutshell, that is who I am, that's what I do, and somehow love swimming sometimes.
You love swimming. Okay, before I go to you loving swimming, why did you study urban planning?
This is a question I've been asked several times, but there was no previous plan to study urban planning. I mean, like anyone in the country, you finish your high school with those specific courses that you want to study, or your parents want you to study, around the realm of being a doctor or being an engineer or a lawyer or stuff. Yeah, I I really loved stuff around electrical and electronic, and so I thought engineering in that line will be something interesting. And that was the question. If you asked me, what would you want to become when you grow up, I'll tell you, I would love to become an electrical and electronic engineer. I've done even a few jobs in that line.
The line of
Yeah.
electronics. Okay.
I had this uncle of mine, and people really underestimate the impact of family when it comes to what you want to become. They can decide to like put you down and make you never achieve anything. But if you get a good one, they could also support you towards the line that you want to. So this uncle of mine called Joshua used to call me whenever I'm at home during my long holidays to go and join him. He's an electrician, so we could go to these homes that he was working in, and we could connect garden lights, kitchen electricals, just a lot around ensuring that our house is lit up. He did a lot of lights by then, and so I was there acting at Mtua Mkono and helping him do that. So that is what I actually wanted to
Yeah,
study.
but you ended doing urban planning.
Yeah, I ended up getting into the university, and when you get to the university, you get a course. I don't know how they select people to those courses.
Yeah.
But I get a course, and then I did intra-school transfer where you have to move from one course to another.
Yeah.
And so this was the line that I chose. It was closer to what I wanted because one of the things I saw there was urban electrification and transport and things like that I thought would really relate to some of the things that I've loved over time. But I came to love it. You know, by the time you are shifting from one course to another because you have not really got what you wanted,
Yeah.
you're just doing it for the sake. Like, what is the better option now that you can't get your best option that you had?
Yeah.
And even as I started studying, because when we started this course, what was being taught was environmental planning and management before you can actually maybe take a route where that you want to become an urban planner, geospatial specialist, or something like that. And so it was just a normal course, me trying to get through the university. But over time, I found things that we were talking about in class could really relate to a lot of things that was happening around me as a young person. Because growing up in an informal settlements in the heart of the biggest urban environment in Kenya, I could now feel like some of the things that I saw as just usual environmental issues were now things that I could say, okay, this it's relating to that, and I could connect dots, I would say. Then ended up just falling in love with this. Yeah.
But there's something I really want to get.
Yeah.
There's a time last week we were doing a pulse drive in one of the youth initiatives in Mathare, and there was a section that brought in an aspect that I've never thought of. They were talking about young people that have studied in informal settlement trying to fit in. I don't know, because I think there is a notion that young people in informal settlements, in slums, let me just say slums, au na masomo kidogo, they're not that. So when you go and study, go to the university, study, and then come back, there is that disconnect. I don't know what you'll say about that.
Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't say that people in the formal settlements have something to do with education, but it's the setup.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in the informal settlements, and by informal settlements, we are closely relating this to poverty, right? There is a lot in life that are more important than education. We have to be very, very clear about that.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I mean, no matter the books you have, whatever you have, the lectures you have to eat. You have to dress fast. You have to be in a house or a shelter before now we can talk of education. As much as we are trying to fix education within basic needs. We still have those three standing as the basic. And when you're in the informal settlement, you're struggling to get these three. Any other thing apart from the three is a distraction.
Yeah.
Unless it's coming as a bonus of you working towards getting the three. We have heard of this story of someone who goes to school to get,
Yeah, I'll bring him here to say that, but we have those scenarios.
If whatever I'm looking at is coming as a result, is coming with education as bonus, then it's okay. So, for example, there is an organization in the informal settlement that is giving me clothing, but they're also offering classes. Then I'll get to the classes. Or there is someone maybe doing something and then they're offering maybe shelter. Then I'll do whatever it is, then I get my shelter. But the motivation behind it is the shelter, is the food, is the clothing. That makes them not really prioritize education to a level of any young person who is in a different setup, right? It could be misinterpreted that they don't love education or learning. So that then would explain the first bit of whatever you've said, that, hey, there is something between people in the informal settlement and education. In fact, some of these people, if ways open up and they're able to get into some of these classes, they actually always really perform so well. You can't even imagine. Some of the private schools, I would call them community schools because they're really not private, in the informal settlements at times do so well. If you look at the performance and things like that. The second bit of disconnect is that because education is not prioritized at that level, very few get to get out of the environment and maybe get to a university elsewhere or to a secondary school elsewhere. And so what happens is that the childhood friends that you had, they're moving on with life, and in the informal settlements, life is moving so fast.
True.
Life is moving so fast because you're always, you can't just, there is no day you'll just sit and say, today I just want to relax. What will you eat at the end of that day? So things move so fast. But when you go out, things move so slowly for you. Now, when you come back, you get some of your friends are way, the things they're doing to get money, you can't fit in. You can't actually, literally fit in. It could also be perception that when you come in, you have that notion. You maybe see a dream. You have a future. Because education makes you, open your eyes to the world. But when you come back, you want to behave because your behaviors would really determine a lot in terms of you achieving your goal. So you have this dream that you want to achieve, and you have a certain way in which you have to behave. So, for example, you have to spare some time and read. You have to wake up early. You have some life skill disciplines that your friends don't have. So when your friends want you to go and sit with them in some base somewhere and make stories the whole day, maybe smoke something or maybe drink something, you are like, no, that's not me. And so there is always that.
Okay. But now after doing urban planning, you mentioned you ran an organization called Youth and Urbanism. Was that, how did you come now to form an institution or an initiative that is, because I see youth and I see urbanism, so I see urban planning in it. So was it because of something you learned in school or what?
A lot, of course, is influenced by what we learn in school. But for me personally, it would be, what else was I to do, right? What else was I to do? After the university, everyone is like, what's next, right? And so many people are looking for internships. Many people are looking for jobs. I was also among them. I was happy to have secured my internship while still at school. So I worked with UNESCO for quite some time, writing research papers. That was interesting, but I felt like it was so far from where the impact is really needed. If I write an academic publication, how long will someone read it, get convinced, go to the ground, implement the idea, and create an impact? You see, it's an entire chain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I could just go down to the informal settlements and start something and start seeing creating an impact on the same day. So that was some of the motivation that, hey, I've done this for like 6 months. It's interesting, but I can do better.
Yeah.
I can get to the community and start something. A background I also had in volunteer, because while at school we used to volunteer a lot with these organizations. Again, the aim was not to volunteer, but what the bonus volunteering came with. So maybe if you went somewhere and did something that helps that organization, at the end of the day, you could get either clothing or food or anything to help you around shelter. And so that background also made this become familiar. Starting an initiative in an informal settlements and running with it, then did not seem to be like a very big task, like a very launching something. For us, it didn't feel like we are launching a company or something. It just felt like, now we just want to do this volunteer thing, but on our own terms. Yeah. At the end of the day, we had an organization that was running.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That, if I'm not wrong, that means you've worked with young people.
For a very long time.
Because now in what we are going to discuss next will really matter if you've worked with young people, so that I hope the response you'll be giving will be things that you'll see. Because you don't want to bring an illusion that you are talking of things of imagination. So you've worked with young people.
I work with young people daily. The organization's core mandate is to shape urbanism for children and young people. So those are the people I focus with most. But apart from that, as young people,
you are a young person.
Yes, as young people, running an organization, not being able to offer some of the remuneration that is given in this other institution, you're not going to get qualified people to work for you, right? You're not going to pay anyone more than 50,000 shillings as salary. So young people are there. They're willing to volunteer. They're willing to give it their all, because they were your friends. So most of the people I'm working with were my friends. Lately, we have started at least pulling in youth from other areas. But we started with people around us. It was easier that way.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to what we're going to talk about today. That one was the introduction, just introducing yourself. I want us to talk about young people and the perception that is there about young people. The first episode we had with Mesha, who is a young person that it's in August, its initiative is turning 10 years. So it's marking 10 years in being a CEO and founder of a change-making initiative, which is working with young people. And when you listen to that interview, he says the number of young people that he has turned into change makers, and they can tell stories. So it means there are young people that are doing something. But there's a perception that is out there about young people. So let us look at, are young people really disorganized? Are they like people that are impatient dreamers? Or what is it really? The perception that is up there of young people and what you've seen as you've been working with young people. So that is what I want us to unpack, and then we'll call it an episode. Yeah?
It's very interesting story to get into a conversation where we start asking ourselves what young people are and what young people are not. I mean, it's very interesting.
It's very interesting.
It's one conversation that could take days.
Yeah.
Talking about young people are lazy, young people are this, young people are that.
But relax. Yes. And that's why, because I know if we start it in an open air, it's going to be a long conversation. That's why I want to be, I'll be asking you different questions that are
But it's even more interesting. And that's why
I know, right?
Okay. Everyone feels it's very interesting.
This is
my point.
Okay.
It's easier to go that route.
Okay,
And we have seen people getting into that route.
Let's go that route.
And
then.
it's not, I don't want to go to that route. I'm just saying it's easier to go to that route.
Okay.
Where you're starting to ask yourself.
But that is what most that's
the
route,
conversation outside.
Yes, that is the route most people have chosen
Yes.
when it comes to young people.
For me,
Yeah.
it's a very wrong route.
Okay.
It's a very wrong route. Okay, I have some background in research, and this is something I will borrow and try and paint a picture here. If you're going to talk about something, if you want to analyze something, if you want to, whatever you're going to study, what do you start with? You write down assumptions. What do people know about these things? Because you also don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if I'm going to study something, what do people know around whatever I'm going, or what do I know? Or what are the papers saying already? And those becomes your assumptions. Assumption does not mean it's wrong. It also doesn't mean it's
right.
It's right. So you list them. Youths are lazy.
Youths are disorganized.
Youths are disorganized.
I want that one to be on the top of the conversation.
Youths are okay.
Yes.
Youths are disorganized, and
Let's
then
use
youths are
that one.
lazy,
Yes,
and then
yes.
youths are ignorant,
Impatient.
Youth. So I would want that. And how long? If you're going to use 6 months to write your paper or do whatever you're going to do in terms of research, you're not going to spend 4 months of the 6 months to write assumptions. In fact, how long are you going to spend? You actually want to finish the assumptions within the first week so that you get into the juicy part of things.
Yeah.
In the real world currently, I feel like people are stuck in listing assumptions instead of jumping into the solution bit of it, of how we can address challenges that are facing the youths. And that will be my major point, that, hey guys, we have listed assumptions enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue with anyone whether the assumptions are true or false. That is left for the end part of it. I mean, when do you make conclusions or bring recommendations?
Say, now we've
At the
concluded
end, yes.
that young people are disorganized.
But before you get there, you have to do some work.
Okay.
So let's list them. Let's say young people are disorganized, but jump into the work. Ikikataa.
Tuseme sasa imekata.
Yes.
Okay. We are talking about assumptions. I said those are assumptions, that the perception that is out there. And I want to get your opinion as someone that has worked with the young people, that is running an organization that is run and is working with and for young people. Are young people disorganized? I know,
You're taking me that route that I
know,
said I don't want to, because it's an easier one to follow.
No, it's not
But
like it's an easier one. It's what is happening out there.
Yeah.
It's what people are saying about young people, and you know where this conversation is coming from. And it's just right for us to address it in that way.
Young people, we are disorganized.
Okay.
Young people are A, young people are B, young people are C. Right? My question would be, and this is why I avoid this route. Now we will start to defend or to be defensive of why is it that we seem disorganized. And you get that the reason why young people are disorganized accumulates from a lot of things that then you can't blame them for being disorganized.
I mean, for someone to be disorganized, you must have...
There is a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let me give a good example. A good example. We said, and this we were talking in terms of, we have been talking in terms of financial funding. And we are saying that young people are high risk. I can choose to go the direction of this, someone being dishonest. They don't have integrity. You give them money, they steal it and run away.
Yeah.
I can go that route. That's also a good route. But we also have this route where the government does not de-risk their young people so that the financial institutions can see value in these young people. That's also a route. But you see, if you just stop at the point where you're saying young people are a high risk, they don't have integrity, then you're doing a disservice.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to tell you that it's wrong, no, you know what, young people are not of high risk. It's true. Yes, we are of high risk. But, so for me, I think whatever comes after that is more important than us asking a yes or no question. Yes, because at times yes or no questions puts you into a fix. Would you say someone is ignorant because they have not found the information, or they found it and they didn't read it?
They found it and they didn't read it.
But you see, even the law says that for if you go to court and you say you have not read that law, you're not going to be forgiven. That's still considered ignorance.
Yeah, I think that is.
So ignorance is whether you see it or you don't see it. Meaning, I might ask you, I can take my phone and write something and then ask you, what did I write? If you don't know, I'll say you're ignorant. And it's true, you're ignorant because you don't know this. There is just a lot by making a yes or no answers in these things. There's a lot tied to it. Again, I'm giving that example. In a court of law, if you are accused of something that is written in the Constitution or in any law that we have, you can't say you didn't know. You cannot. That I didn't know that is wrong. Why? Because I didn't read the Constitution.
Let's not go into constitutions and law, because me and my knowledge of law.
young people might not know stuff, and that is enough for us to say they're ignorant. But so is so many people, including our leaders.
Okay, I just wanted to get your opinion as someone that is working with young people.
It's true, we are not disorganized, but that is not the end of the story.
When you're introducing youth and urbanism, you said you have 5 years, but 3 official.
Yeah.
And this is tied to a conversation that I want us to have now. This, let me call them youth groups or youth initiatives that are in the informal settlements. Most of them, they do what they're doing. And there's a point you said here, that on your own terms. Most of them work on their own terms, meaning they might not be officially or formally recognized, but whatever they are doing for their community, they are the people collecting waste in the community, they are the people having feeding programs every weekend for the children in the community, they are the people cleaning the rivers, but they are not officially registered. So when you talked about finance, them being a risk to financial funding, should there be grace to the 5 years that they spent doing something for their community in their own terms, or judge them because they are not being registered for these years that you want to engage them?
This then, I hope we have time. This gives me a chance to maybe give our story in terms of growth. Immediately, I was just about to finish my course at the university. We started this, and by then it was a lot of self-mobilizing. So you have this idea, it looks good on paper, but you need to implement it. You need to bring people together. It's different from how maybe the Western countries or any other person will start anything. You start by registration, and then you recruit. No, in this environment, we recruit until we see that it's working. That's when we look for. And that is the story for so many young youth-led organizations. Because you're not going to spend resources to register something that you're not sure it's going to work. So for us, it was like, okay, I have this idea. I need to get my friends who think that it's something viable so that we can see it work. We did that for like 2 years, just doing activities in the community, joining other organizations' activity, and sharing our vision and mission. Then later, when we now started seeing attraction, that hey, people are loving this kind of storyline. It was unique. Not so many organizations within the informal settlements were talking about urban planning in general. Many would relate the problems we are facing in informal settlements to governance alone. Yes, a lot of problems we are facing in the informal settlements are related to political governance, but again, many of them could just be as a result of poor planning, right? It could also just be as a result of mobilizing. And so, how do you mobilize youths to come together and address some of these planning issues that are affecting us? Housing issues, transport issues, right? Not just governance. So that is a gap that we were able to fit and try and address. After the second year, after registration, we were able to now approach people looking for funding. But still, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, people are still skeptical of your capacity to manage funds. So it's not easy for an individual to raise income or raise money for their initiatives at that. Your question was, should they get some grace? For me, I think they should get all the grace at that particular time. Because tell me why we are able as a country to take risks on other things, right? This could be projects, new projects that we are starting. This could be things that maybe I've worked in other countries, but I've never worked in our countries. But we are able to take that risk and try them. And these are not, I'm not talking about million, I'm talking of billions, right? Projects that are worth that much. Why can't we take risk with our young people? Right? Yeah. And the government is there to do things that are not profitable. And that's why we have the government. If everything was profitable, then the private sector would have done it.
And
so if we are going to give youths money and it's risky and it's not profitable, that's why we have the government, to de-risk the young people.
And I want, most of the time I'll be avoiding talking about the government and de-risking, because we'll be having that conversation and it's not going to end anywhere, because we've seen where the government and young people are right now. So our hopes is only on us. But now, when Meshach mentioned, I'm going to, because it was now, this is a build-up of that conversation. He was also saying on the topic of on what you said, that why can't financial institutions or anyone else, we're not talking about finances only, we are even talking about just believing in a young person's idea. For you to know something is working, you have to make mistakes with that thing for a long time. Those people, I think, if you're saying, if you feel like young people are impatient, then look at the example of this that have been doing something for 5 years without registering, just waking up in the morning, going to serve their community, coming back, volunteering, not getting anything from it, right? The community is accepting it. Now they take a step to registering it, to applying for funds, to getting other people, to even getting a staff that they can
then
pay.
You come in and say,
isn't that a level of patience? But also, if you're talking about now, can young people manage funds, they'll run away with your money or something like that. This is something they're starting, and like you've said, most of these initiatives are built on people wanting to give back to their community, and people wanting to, like youth and urbanism, we say, the shaping urbanism for children and young people. You want to make sure that children are able to live in a safer urban community. It means you're not even doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the community and for the young people. Which means it's something you don't even know how you're going to do it first.
If it was that easy, then anyone could
because
have
you're
done
not doing it like you're doing it for someone else. You're not even sure if children they want to be safe in the community. Just saying. You're not even sure, because if you have like initiatives on youth empowerment, you yourself that is starting, you're not even sure that young people, these youths, want to be empowered. You're trying out stuff, and that means you're going to make mistakes, and you have to learn from them. But that brings me to this point. What can someone believing in an idea of a young person do? Let's just not talk about funding, because funding kidogo, it's way after. Funding comes after you've done a lot of things, yeah. So is there someone that, or like giving credit to an organization that you worked with or someone individually that you feel believed in idea of youth and urbanism before it even reached a level now that you can apply for funds?
Yeah, it's crazy. I know you're saying we should not speak about funds, but I want to give an illustration that I don't know if I'm the only one that sees it, or everyone who, before opening your mouth and saying young people are
Before opening your mouth and saying that young people are
anyway, a group will get 100,000 shillings from a youth fund or whatever it is that youths get money from. That is if they do, because we even don't know how many groups get it.
Yeah.
We have been in the community, we have seen. I mean, if every group was able to get that money, we could have like stood up and say that this money is being given to young people.
Yeah.
But how many groups do you know that have actually received youth fund in your environment?
youth fund.
Yes. Or women fund.
Youth
So
fund
whatever
is
fund.
from the government.
Yes. The fact that you're asking me that, I think that.
No, I want to be sure which fund you're talking about. Because most of the funds that I know that
currently they are changing the names.
They are not
very
from
every day, but
there's a time we were looking at that conversation of why are young people not getting funds from things like youth fund, women. Those are like government funding agencies for young people, and they said that the first people they gave money.
Who are those first people? Because me, I've been looking for those first people.
I don't know. That is, I know.
And then they're giving an age. They're giving an age bracket of that period where young people. Remember, I've done this for. I've told you for 5 years.
Yeah, they said they gave a group money and
which year was that?
They didn't.
And within that year, I was already in this field.
Did
and
you apply for the youth fund first?
Anyway. Let's give that let's by then we didn't even have certificate. How could
okay.
Yes.
Now see, you didn't apply for them.
The thing is, you give a group 100K, there are like 10 people. They decided to take each 10,000. Let me say it's true, because I don't want to say they're lying. Each youth takes 10,000, right? And then disappears with it. Let's be truthful.
Actually,
then you take an engineer, give them 6 billion to build a road. They disappear with 3/4 of their money, and no one talks about
it's
them.
like this conversation it's like directed to someone.
I'm not directing it to anyone. I'm just saying, before we say things, we need to weigh.
Listen.
Yes.
I'm even trying to. The reason why I find it difficult for someone not giving young people money because they think they're going to run away with it, it's because, like I said earlier, this person, okay, I don't know if there are people that ran away with money, right? I'm not going to rule that
I want
out.
you to assume that it's true that they did. But why do you judge the biggest population of your country because they have done some mess-ups with 10,000 shillings or 100,000 shillings?
But I'm actually against having money that is being given to young people as a way that they are supposed to return it or something. That is just a conversation for another time. Like, you are a youth initiative, right? All you do in the community is...
It's not a business.
Yeah, you do community cleanups, you collect garbage.
How am I going to collect garbage to a level that
you
I have
have
to return
sessions
your
with
money?
girls on gender-based violence, SRHR. The money you need is to facilitate these things, to make sure that maybe you're able to get past these girls when they come to sessions, get water or something like that, even hire a hall for them to come. If you're doing cleanup, you're able to buy things like wheelbarrows, mkokotenis, to be able to do cleanups in the community. There is nothing bringing back this money. It's like you're giving the money and then you're taking it to help the community. And then, okay, excuse that. Continue. You say something.
I'm getting annoyed.
And that's why I feel. That's why I say it. I don't want us to talk, but you are insisting.
This is what I would say. Just to close this up, is that let's not blow things out of proportion. It's true. And for me, I think since I started speaking, I've not opposed anything that is being said about young people. Yes, they are ignorant. Yes, they are very disorganized. Yes, and they are supposed to be. I mean, you don't expect a child to behave like a 26-year-old, 30-year-old. They are children. That's what they should do. So if you come and get a child dirty and playing with mud or something, yes, that's them being a child. We are young people. That's us being us, right? If we are very intentional that we want to support young people, then we also have to be honest with ourselves that yes, these young people, this is who they are. And we have to work within this framework to find ways to help them. If I'm going to give them money, I know they're going to run away with it. Why don't I put in measures to ensure that they don't
Run away
do
with
that? So that could include capacity building of these groups. They're saying they're doing it, but do you know how they're doing it? We have been running this institution for 5 years, developing some of the very
bare minimum
systems. Then you want to come and train me for a week and expect that now our systems all of a sudden become so good that we are not going to eat your 100 shillings.
No, we are not even going to eat your 100 shillings. I mean, we were doing these things for the community before the money. And
so why doesn't it become a developing like staircase?
Actually, a solution to people that are giving young people money and they are running away with the money. Make sure you give an institution or an initiative that has been there, that have been they have been doing their work.
Now, I want to insist the part that you have just said as if it's a past, but it's very important. Wewe umeona, meaning you have walked with them.
You've walked with them. You've seen it.
If we are going to do that, let's walk with the
journey. It means they have been doing this without the money, so they have solved a lot of things before getting a sum of money. So walk the journey.
You will see even the weaknesses.
You will see if they're able to run away with your money or not. But if you're not walking, it's very easy for them to run away with your money. But if you walk the journey with them, there's even a sense of responsibility that comes. They don't want to disappoint you.
Exactly.
I know a project that you're running. Okay, I don't know if I should say this.
Provided you don't mention the project.
Yes, right. But I know there are people that will know what I'm talking about. But there's a project you're running. And the person responsible for that project makes it easy. Sometimes we even say that this project asks us to succeed because we are doing it for this person. Because this person walked the journey with us. Mpaka you feel like if you run away with them, if you don't do these activities to an impact level, you're like failing this person because this person walked with you the journey when no one believed. So if you walk with that initiative that you want, because it's like you feel you want to help these people, right? That's why you're giving them money. So it's more like you want to make sure they succeed in whatever they're doing. Walk with them the journey, understand them, how they're doing it, and be open-minded. Sometimes we come to these youth groups with a fixed mind and we end up being disappointed.
If we have developed our institutions on weak systems for over 10 years. You can't come with a 1 week training and expect us to be angels. Because for me, I don't want to look at it as a youth problem. And that's also the problem. At times we put in things on youths that are not even youth related. I was hearing someone saying that talking about integrity, is that a youth problem? That's a generational problem. As a country, we are suffering from corruption issues.
I was going to mention someone, but no. There are a lot of people that are... Anyway,
some of these things are not youth problems. It's
when
generational
you talk about
problems.
integrity,
it's
for even
like,
young people to be...
It's a societal, actually, issue.
Anyway, I wanted also to mention something on now, because it's like we are giving out solutions for people not to run away with their money. Because that was like a major problem. You said it's difficult to build, for you to expect young people to build systems that they've been trying to build for 5 years in 1 week.
Yes.
I also want to give an example of a project that you are running. Of course, I'm not going to mention.
Okay.
We were doing financial reporting for this project that you're doing. Of course, this donor had already understood that we had challenges in this financial era. So they're like working it with us slowly, providing the different help they can give, so that they make sure that we strengthen our financial whatever. But there's a time when we were reporting, the financial person for this project realized that we had like a gap, like a weak gap in our financial reporting. Instead of that person saying that we are not organized, the person said that we are going to accept this your financial report because we've walked this journey with you. We know it's like this is like the third year you're implementing this project. We've worked it with you. But if you are going to use this reporting for another project in the near future, if you do this and this, it might work even better working with another person that might not understand you penye mmetoka with finances. So you've seen what that person did there.
Exactly. So this would mean even them distributing that 100,000 amongst themselves, if you knew them from the beginning, might be a win. Like, you mean they were able to sit down and agree? If
Actually,
you knew how they came, and that's already a step.
I'll say, if this is what I'm saying. If you're working with young people and you realize that you gave them 100,000, and they distributed amongst themselves,
killed each other.
Not even killed. These things signatories, so they are true.
Yeah.
They disappear 50-50. This one they distributed 10 members.
If you knew that,
it means there
is a step.
Wow, no.
So, I mean, this is just the worst case scenario. But let me go back to what you're saying. I mean, if you have worked with them a journey,
yes,
you're able to appreciate their development, right?
Yeah.
So, if I've known you and I know how your systems are, again, it's not a youth problem. It's system problem. Someone misusing organizational money is not a youth problem.
Yes, before you continue, there is something that, okay, let me just mention his name because he's coming next. Calvin said, when we're having these forums that we're having right now, before we start, you know those ground rules that you say before starting conversation, he was saying, we are going to speak. Everyone is going to give their opinions. If you don't like an opinion, hate the opinion, not the person. Yes, continue.
Very, very correct. You have to differentiate these things. If we are not running our initiatives well, it's not the youth, it's the systems that we are running this.
Yeah, so you should be looking at how do these youths strengthen their system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, you will really help them. Now, going back to walking the journey, if you have known how their systems are, then even if you can get a good justification of 50% use of this financing, then you will appreciate and say, depending on the systems they have, and they have only misused 50 and well accounted for the other 50, they have done well. You are not able to appreciate that if you don't know them.
Yeah.
Because we have people with even very good systems, but what they are doing cannot be compared with these youths without systems. So that's number one. The second thing I would say when it comes to young people and how they run these initiatives is that there is no way you're going to expect the best out of their programs and you ignore their lives.
Yeah, true.
Right? There was a time I was talking with a friend of mine and he said, if we are going to succeed, we have double work. If you're going to be these youth leaders, if you're going to be the mentors of these other colleagues, we have double work. The first work is to ensure that we personally, at a personal level, you're doing well. Because that's the only way I'm going to ignore whatever progress, whatever money is in that account of the organization.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to leave that 100K youth fund there, then go and sleep angry.
Yeah.
Right?
What? Why do you keep on saying youth fund?
That's the fund that we are giving as an example.
Wow.
Here. But give me another fund. I'll use another fund. I'm not talking
People
about.
will say like we are talking about youth
No,
fund
we are not
now.
talking about youth fund.
Please.
I'm just saying, whatever fund that we have,
Yes.
if we have it for the initiative, and the youths that are running that initiative are
Yeah.
not doing well individually,
Yeah.
then that's a problem. Yes, and so before you bring and that's a conversation that is very important even for groups. While sitting down, sometimes take time to ask each other, what are you doing at a personal level?
Yes.
Even the issue of entitlement, that someone comes into an activity and wants a certain amount of money. Do you know why they're insisting that they want that money? They had made some plans and some mathematics there. You know, today I'm going to get 1,000 shillings. So when they come to that activity and you give them 500, what happens? They get annoyed. Umeharibu hesabu.
Yeah.
So these youths, what are they doing at personal level? If you can empower them at personal level, when they come together to form a group, and they're not going to do this with 1 week training, trust me.
Walk the journey.
Walk the journey with them.
These young people before you say they are not organized.
Yeah. Ask them, what are you doing at individual, at personal level? What are you doing? What?
No, I'm just laughing at what I've said there before you say. Anyway, now in walking the journey with young people, that means engaging them and making sure that they are in forums that will elevate how they think and stuff like that. In short, generally engaging them. Another question that is important: how do you know that you're engaging young people in the right way? Or what would you say is like the right way to engage, to walk this journey? This
is a very difficult question. It's like asking, what's the best way to bring up your young ones or your child? Or, everyone has their own way.
Yeah.
Others work, others don't work. At times you might follow someone's advice to the latter. The other one ends up a doctor, the other one ends up a thief. So those two, it's a very difficult question to answer.
Okay,
So I don't think there is one good way. But I will say this: being there for those people is one that for me I can vouch for, that this one works.
That one works.
I have a mentor that doesn't talk to me. I mean, we may even stay 6 months without talking. But ask me my number one mentor in the list, she will appear at the top. I don't know why. And so if we complicate being there for young people, we think he's talking to them all the time, is getting to their meetings all the time, it might not maybe be that.
Yeah.
It might just be being there. Because at times she could call and just ask, how are you guys doing? She doesn't know what you're doing, but she will say, I know you're doing well, just keep on. But you're like, I know you don't know what I'm doing, so why are you saying you know I'm doing well?
Yeah,
but such a person makes you feel like she's there.
Yeah, it's also more like building relationships. Like what Meshach said, it's building relationships so that sometimes you, even if it's not like work related, this person can call you and just like unampigia stories amtaki imefanyika that time. Maybe he or she is not from the same area, and it's.
And you finish that call without even
talking about the project you're running. Maybe at that time, maybe you're even having difficulties finding outcomes in the project. Like the person called and you just making stories.
And you try getting into that conversation and she just dives into something else.
So it's building relationship with these young
just
people.
Be there.
Sometimes tokea tu hata uende kunywe chai nao base.
Just be there.
Kenda base.
Just be there.
Yeah.
People complicate helping someone. Helping someone really doesn't mean you have to give something.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to it doesn't require even so much of your time.
Yeah.
At times just being that one person that is always telling them that, hey, soldier on. You might be doing a lot of grace to these people than you realize.
Okay. As much as you're saying, young need to walk the journey, create the relationship, be there. We want, like, there's a disconnect between this other generation and this other generation. How they want things to be done, it's different. So how do we, speaking for these people that you want to walk the journey with, these young people, how do they fit in, or how do young people, I don't know if you're getting what I say, because sometimes it may be difficult for someone to find it easy to just walk in your office on Saturdays and mkae tu mpige tu story.
Yeah.
Not
They don't even
about-
have time on the weekends.
Yeah. So how, if you really want to walk the journey with these young people, but you find it difficult, you really want to, but it's difficult. So how do you help such?
It goes back to leadership. I will talk to millennials and the older generation that take that position. You are the elderly in the
Be the
room.
bigger person.
Be the bigger person.
Okay.
What does, it's easier. You know the way you've said okay, I would say it's easier said than done. Because it's like it's like me telling
person,
you
it's like,
be the leader. But it's not easier said. Yeah.
No, it's when I said be the bigger person, then I said okay, it's like in friendship. Maybe you're having ups and downs with your friend and you're not talking, and all of you are like quiet, waiting. If I talk, they're not going to. So being the bigger person means
you step up.
You step up and just ask, what's up? Why are we not talking?
Good.
Yeah.
Now, in this context, this is very important because the first thing I would say is if we are going to solve issues between generations, the biggest solution, at least for me, what I've seen working, is listening to each other.
Yeah.
Then it goes back to the example you've given, where the millennial will say, young people, you need to listen to us.
Yeah.
And then the young people will say, elder people, you need to listen to us.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, be the bigger person. What does it mean? The millennials and the elderly should listen first, even before.
Yeah. I mean, like I just said the other time, there's always a common ground either way.
There is always a common ground. And if the problem is, we can't be competing to get to the common ground. Someone has to step back.
Yeah.
And the person who is always stepping back should be the bigger person in the room.
Me, I won't step down.
And the reason why you won't step down, it's because I wouldn't say you're stupid or you don't have much. But you realize that the young people won't step down first because they don't have the eyesight that you have. You who is seeing the bigger picture should guide them. You don't expect them to make a decision that is good for their future that they have not seen. You who is seeing how the future is. You is seeing how the country should be. You need to listen to these young people. That was deliberate, right? No, I'm just saying.
I know, but actually that is important. And this is like from the conversation we were having yesterday. I'm also not going to mention his name. And the last conversation you're having with...
I remember that. I remember
and
that.
And he was saying that millennials have like a big advantage because they've seen... When there was no technology, I mean, they've seen different aspects of life. Unlike young people, we know what like we want right now. We've not like really. So like millennials and the other generations before millennials, they have two sets of
very big advantage, and especially millennials, because the other generations might not. They might not really understand the technology.
Actually, right now, I expect even millennials to be the ones in the front line.
Because they can connect.
They can connect and they know which way not to go because they've gone that way and it wasn't working. Anyway, millennials.
So for older generations, for intergenerational solidarity towards sustainable development to work, we have to listen to each other. And I want to stop there because I know the next conversation will be who should listen to who
Yes,
first.
actually
Then
now
I
I'm
will
going
say,
to yes. No.
Yeah.
We are not even asking who should listen to who
Yeah.
first, because we said
Be-
the reason why we are listening is for us to find a common ground.
Yeah.
Let's bring the arguments together and say, okay, this if we do this way, we are going to get here. But if you also do it this way, okay, so how do we do it? Like having that
Yeah.
conversation arguments for us to find a common solution that works for both of us. But sometimes there is that aspect that it's vegetu mesema who listens most, and at what point do you now feel like, okay, let's give up this idea and follow this idea because it will get us to the common ground you feel. So how do young people also, and something is telling me there's going to be difficulties in convincing young people that, okay, drop this and do this, because they have seen what this was doing and now they want to do it this way.
Again, be the bigger person in the room.
So I'm asking now, how can young people hold themselves accountable? Like say, okay, what you're saying might be right and what I'm doing is not right. So how do we do that? Be holding them accountable and themselves accountable.
I feel that then goes to how they would maybe use some of their skills on leadership that they have. And so if I'm to make a decision with a young person, maybe I'm in the again, I'm assuming this conversation is still within intergenerational.
Yes, of course.
Yes. And so when we are going to make a decision, and I realize that what this young person needs, again, assuming I have a bigger insight than this young person, and I know what they need, but what is preventing them from getting what they need is the fact that they are not holding themselves accountable. Then I shift the conversation towards that and say, how will we ensure that whatever you're proposing, there is check and balances at the end of it all, right? And so before I say no to a young person who has proposed something, and before I say yes because I'm not sure, I will ensure that by the time we are leaving that meeting, they win. Because I'm a bigger person in the room, I'll allow them to win. But I'll ensure that we have check and balances to keep them accountable. Again, let's not ask for accountability as if they were born with it. That is like asking a young person to think like a 30-year-old. As a bigger person in the room, also assume that they even don't know how to be accountable. And so for me, I'll like, okay, you want this? Okay. I'll get you. Okay. This is one of those conversations that is in a few houses. I wanted to say many houses, but I realized it depends.
Not every school has a school bus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's always on the PS thing. Every young person in some class always want a PS in their house. And then they have to sit down with their father and talk.
Wait, you wanted to use PS for all households? Okay.
Then I realized that not all households are using a PS.
Okay, yeah.
But now in our context, it could be a bicycle. That's one thing that I wanted with my dad. It could be any other thing that you would want, but most probably it will distract you from your academia. So your dad will tell you something like, I'll get you this, but
you
will have to do this or
come
do
back
this
with
or
an
this.
A, you get a bicycle.
Exactly. So that is also teaching someone that, hey, whatever you want, you also have to put in some work or be accountable to us. It's not like your father is assuming that I'm buying you a bicycle and you have to get an A, and then not telling you, assuming that you already know that the bicycle should link to an A. They tell you. So if you ask me how that conversation will go, is that the bigger person in the room will take charge and allow the younger person to win, then puts accountability measures on them.
Wow.
After that, then we will say young people are ignorant if it doesn't work.
Stop. I'm seeing this conversation going over, but because of time, I now want to look at the future. What do you think? As a founder, right? Given that you're working with young people right now, I want to give them the next 10 to 20 years.
I personally don't know how that will look like.
Yeah.
But it's very promising. It's very promising because, number one, I've never seen people fight for what they believe in this much. Apparently, I feel if someone fights for something they really believe in, even if it's wrong, somehow they convince me. Because the extent at which some people can go to get something, maybe they really need it. Maybe they really need it.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that the extent to which young people have gone to achieve, to be listened to. Actually, for me, I think one thing that they're really fighting for currently is not a lot of things that is being talked about. It's just being listened to.
Actually, that is just.
Yeah, because I was wondering, these guys are talking about going to the. Now, I have to give this example because
Okay.
it's in the public domain.
Okay.
Guys are talking about going to the.
This is not marine face. Yes.
Guys are talking about going to the State House.
Yeah.
And they have no plan.
Yeah.
Like they even don't have.
Leave alone the State House.
Yeah.
I want to give this example,
Yes.
though it's a painful example because it led to loss of lives.
Sure.
But looked at when these people reached the parliament last year.
They didn't even stay there for like more
They
than.
just wanted you to see they have reached, and then they went out.
Then, you as the leader, the bigger person in the room, start associating these people with the power.
They are not-
They even
listen,
don't want those things.
They are not even fighting against, like now saying that we'll go to polls with you. Like you say, we are going to go against you in 2027.
Then they even don't want that.
They even don't want that.
So for them, currently, what I feel.
No, say, we even don't want that. No, like I've said, this is not my real face, right?
So we even don't want, sorry.
Yeah.
We even don't want that. I feel the fact that some of their plans are not really like plans to.
Should make this thing very easy.
Any bright person should know that this is just a young person who is looking for attention, and so I just need to listen to them. If they had plans, and we have had countries that they want to change the government, we can develop those plans, and those plans are always never pretty. No one who wants to change the government will go to State House without a president, without a person
Yeah.
that they want to put
Yeah.
there, without military. Without, how are you even going to run that country after throwing the
It's
government?
just seeking for attention.
This guy just wants to be heard.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to really take serious at the top of the list as number one.
Yeah.
And if you know that, why don't you put it on the table? Like listening is part of the things that you're also offering on the table. I was talking about 10 years or 5 years, and I'm saying the fact that they can go to that extent just to be listened to, it means they really believe in what they want. If they didn't believe in it, I don't think they would have. We have known the extremes at which young people have gone in this country to be listened to.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying I am optimistic of the future. Another thing that I would also say, of course, having placed the disclaimer out there that I don't know what the future holds.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, is that I'm looking at a future where we will have a lot of initiatives. I'm looking at a future where we will have a lot of initiatives that are addressing sustainable growth, be it in the urban setup or in the rural areas. Because looking back, way back, some of these initiatives were very few, being done with very big organizations or the government. It could be at a level, at a scale of beyond zero, by the government, or it could be. I can't really get any.
Just use
any
beyond zero.
initiatives. Let me use beyond zero because that one was at a national level. No, don't get into that question. But that was done at a national level.
Yes.
I also want to give this one, but I know people have issues with it. But like planting trees at a national level.
Where? They have planned 750 million
Then
trees.
I'll assume I'm not hearing you. I'm trying to look at an example that was done with an organization. I know a lot during Kibaki's time was on education. Yeah, I can't pinpoint. I can't pinpoint exact organization, but while I was in school, because Kibaki, that was when I was in primary. Huko, I was very small. I could see organizations either bringing in food, like food program. So it was specific programs done at a wide scale, but with specific people.
But right
But
now,
currently, young people are into these things, right? Young people are giving. Are looking
I mean,
for
we should
pads.
give young people a chance. They're the people doing these things that you are supposed to.
So I was like, even if the government wants to achieve some of these goals, they don't have to come
work
up with
young-
bigger. They
adopt.
just, for example, if I want to achieve a program on menstrual health or something, do I need to come up with an institution,
No.
a body again?
No.
What do? I look for all the young people doing it, and in every ward, I'm very sure. Someone should correct me, but currently, in every ward, if we look keenly, are we going to miss a group that is doing menstruation? I think almost 80% of
Everywhere,
the
there
wards.
is a group doing menstruation and
Yes.
giving out sanitary pads each
What
and every
about
time.
planting trees? Do we need a national body to plant trees? Look at every
Plant
ward.
750 million trees.
If we look at every ward, are we
Yeah.
going to miss a youth group that is doing planting trees?
They're already doing it.
Why should we take billions of shillings to craft a new body and do a new thing?
I mean, it's even easier. You're going to save money.
You're going to save money.
Yeah.
These guys are not coming with those
don't- yeah.
contracts
Yeah,
and whatever. I mean, so looking at the future, I'm seeing an environment where young people have taken development into their hands and are willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that the environment they live in is conducive not just for them, but for the even for children and the future generation. So if you ask me that question, that is what is popping
Like a
up.
snip of
Yeah.
what you'll want to see.
That's
Okay.
yeah.
I hope it works though. That's for me. That brings me in.
Okay, I mean-
then to
Before they get frustrated, all of them, and leave doing what they are doing, and decide to join all of you, then it's fine. Because I was looking at even this quest to be had. People might just, I mean, you might want it, you might really put a lot on it, but doing the same thing over and over again,
yeah,
and it's not
itafika
working.
point tuachie Mungu.
Yeah, and if they do that, it's a spirit that has been killed,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't want that.
That is all from my end. But
Interesting. Yeah.
if a young person is listening and they're confused in the middle of all this, I know right now there's a young person somewhere that is confused in the middle of all these chaos that are happening.
Young people are confused.
Yes. So
I'm adding it to that list of young people are ignorant. Young people are confused. But again, what do you expect?
yeah.
With all the consumption of content online, if you tell me young people are confused, I'll be okay with it. What do you
We are
expect?
confused. That's why we are not.
Maybe we are
patient.
confused, and it's justifiable. If you tell me a millennial is confused before the internet, I will be like, what are you getting confused to? I mean, you only have
Facebook.
these options. You have 3 options. What is confusing you? But if I have a million options, then
Yeah.
it's okay to be confused. There is a lot that is being showcased to young people currently,
Yeah.
and not just being showcased. Let me paraphrase that. Young people are exposed to a lot that it makes sense if they want something, or they admire something, or they're thinking something will work.
Yeah.
To you, it might be a confusion. For me, it's exposure. Maybe
So
whatever they want might not
exposed.
work.
Yeah.
It might not work in the context where, but why don't we sit down and talk about it? Maybe they want a reform that they have seen in Europe and they want it in Africa. and in Kenya, not realizing that these are two different setups.
Different worlds.
It's okay, but let's talk. Let's talk about it. And so, for me, I would say, you as a young person who is there, because I was talking about the person who is seeing a young person as confused. Now let me talk to the young person who is there and there is a lot of things going on. We can't all fight one battle. There is a lot of battle that we need to win at this particular time. And so it's okay not to be in every space, right? But whatever space you choose, make sure you're giving it your best, right? Make sure you're being heard in that space. And so I'm not in politics. I'm not in that spectrum of activism talking about human rights. I'm not in that space, right? So it's rarely will you see me in Maandamano, rarely will you see me in press conferences addressing human rights violation. It doesn't mean I'm not interested. It just means I can't fight that battle too.
Yeah.
I'm in the space of empowerment, right? And that's where I'm doing my best. I know of ladies that might not be in my space of development or in the space of human rights, but they're in girls' empowerment and they're looking at how can girls do best in this. And we know of our friends who are in education, and we know of our friends who are in fashion. So whatever battle you choose, and I don't know why I'm using the word battle, because of late I'm thinking young people
Everything
are fighting.
is a battle.
It's a fight.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like that. I mean, I wish our leaders would listen. Everything shouldn't be a fight.
Yeah.
But anyway, because we have decided, let me use battles to refer to those different things that we need to do. Provided you're winning in your space, congrats. We move on. You don't have to fight everything, right?
Okay.
Just in your space. Currently, if we have even youths in funding. They don't have organizations themselves. They even don't want the funding, but they're talking about how young people should get funding. So that's very interesting, because that is a battle someone has chosen, not even for themselves. We have programs on children. We are not children, but we are fighting for them. And we have also seen children in these forums who are fighting for children. That's always getting me very encouraged. But if you are in that space, fight that battle at that particular.
Fight that battle.
Yeah, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. You choose it and
choose
fight it.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
So don't feel confused. Don't feel confused.
I think that brings me to the end of this conversation. It was a good conversation, a heated one, I'll say. I know we are going to get different reactions, but just like I normally say, this might be my opinion, your opinion.
My opinion.
You have a different opinion. So don't feel like how do I say it? You're offended because you feel like this person is not driving your own opinion, right? So if you feel like whatever you said, you're not agreeing with it, it's okay. It's okay if you're not agreeing with it.
You know, when you talk about that, the more we talk, the more this episode.
No, I'm finished.
But let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this because it's very important.
Yeah.
Perspectives matter and mindset.
Yes.
I haven't talked about that
Yes.
in some of the forum. Perspective and mindset. You might look at opinions and different opinions as a field where you have to oppose or defend yourself or something. But you could also look at difference in opinion as beauty. Like, if all of us are it's boring to have the same opinion.
That's why I'm saying you have your own opinion, I have my own opinion.
And that's what makes us interesting.
It's okay. Yeah, I said it's okay.
Yeah.
So if you feel like this is not your opinion, remember you have yours, someone else have theirs, and it's okay.
That's what makes us human beings.
I think that is all from my end, and thank you so much, Edwin, for coming.
Thank you.
If someone wants to check out what you're doing with youth and urbanism, how do we get that?
We use the handle Youth and Urbanism in all our platforms. I use the name Edwin Advin in most of my platforms. And we actually have very interesting projects coming up that we are launching either this month or next month.
Okay.
A few online platforms, a few programs that are coming up. And it will be good to check those out because we are providing opportunities for young people to be part of what we have been doing for the last 5 years, but practically. So, for example, if we have been doing fundraising, we are no longer going to just do it in-house. We are opening the curtain for all young people who are interested in fundraising to join.
Yeah.
If you have been doing girls' issues in the community and empowerment around that, we are opening the curtain. And so we are at that phase where most of our internal programs that we have been doing are being enrolled using technology to reach out to so many people.
Okay.
And there is actually a call that is running currently for fundraisers. So if you're listening to this, you need to check our pages and all for that.
Yeah. So if you're a fundraiser, check out Youth and Urbanism's page. There's an opportunity there for you to explore your area of expertise, right? That brings us to the end of this episode. This is the Urban Online Show, a space where we bring big ideas, real stories, and bold voices from the urban spaces. And if you like this conversation, make sure you share this conversation. Hold it, but don't end the conversation. Make sure that another person listens to it and another person brings their different opinion. And of course, listen to the other conversation you had also, because this is like a build-up. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much so far for the people that have been tuning into our conversation, sharing our videos, and commenting on our conversation. Thank you. Until next time, my name is June.